Good morning, everyone. Good morning, students. Today we will be revising history, lesson number 2, historiography, Indian tradition. In the last lecture, we have revised lesson number 1, that was historiography, development in the West. As you all know, what is historiography, right? The historiography, that is writing of history and how history is written, writing of critical historical narrative, okay, is known as historiography. We have seen historical research method in the previous chapter. So the definition of historiography is the writing of critical historical narrative is known as historiography. Right? Now, what is historiography? Writing of critical historical narrative is historiography. Then you can see ancient, medieval, and modern period. Tradition of Indian historiography. We learned about the Western tradition of historiography in the last lesson. In this lesson, we will know about the tradition of Indian historiography. Now, first we will see historiography in the ancient period. In the ancient period in India, memories of great deeds. What are great deeds? Great deeds means great stories of ancestors. Okay. So in the ancient period in India, memories of great deeds of ancestors and mythological lore, also memories of social transitions means changes, okay, were preserved with the help of oral recitals. Okay, before history was written, before writing was done, okay, written part was done, history was transferred through generations with the help of oral recitation, like singing songs, singing ballads. Okay, so history was preserved with the help of oral recitals. You can see in the picture also. What is mythological? In the picture, you can see the story of Ramayana. Okay? Now the inscriptions of the Harappan. Inscriptions means carving. You can see in the picture some drawing is done, it is carved out with some pointed stone is carved. Okay? The inscriptions on the Harappan seal. This is a picture of the seal. The inscriptions on the Harappan seal and other artifacts confirm that India has mastered the art of writing as early as the third millennium BCE. Means Indian, they knew the art of writing. They were writing since third millennium BCE, means 3000 years ago. Okay, or perhaps before that, maybe before that they started writing. So Indians had mastered the art of writing as early as the third millennium, that is 3000 years BCE, or perhaps before that. However, the Harappan script is not yet successfully deciphered or decoded. The earliest known written documents of historical nature found in India are in the form of inscriptions, that is on rocks. Okay, so first written documents or earliest written documents in India which were found was on stones. Okay, inscriptions or carving rocks like that. That was the written document. They are dated to the 3rd century BC. That is Emperor Ashoka Maurya's time. His rules are inscribed on natural rocks and stone pillars. From the 1st century CE, inscriptions begin to occur on coins, metals, images. Now, we have seen like earliest written documents were written on the stones or carvings or seals. Okay, then after first century, inscriptions begin to occur on coins. Okay, written part, that is coins were inscribed. Okay, so the inscriptions begin to occur on coins, metal images like on metal pots, sculptures, statues, and also on copper plates. On plates were also some writing part was done. Inscription was done on the copper plates. So after rocks, coins, metals, and copper plates were inscribed. Okay, they provide important historical information. We get to know about the dates of various kings. Okay, by reading that document or reading that copper plate or reading that coin, we come to know important dates of various kings, dynastic genealogy. Genealogy means studies of families, territorial extent, and administration of various empires and kingdoms. Also important political events. Okay, by reading that thing, we come to know about various empire, kingdom, important political events, social organization, climate, famine, etc. of that time, of that respective time. Okay, so the ancient Indian literature, including the epics Ramayana and Mahabharata, Puranas, Jain and Buddhist texts, historical accounts by Indian authors, and also travelogues by foreign travelers are important sources of history, right? From ancient literature like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas. Okay, when you see this stories, or when you read this, or when you watch these serials or stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, Jain, okay, Buddhist texts, you come to know about some history. Okay, and history by foreign travelers. They come to India, they write about India, right? So it's called travelogues. So we come to know history also by foreign travelers through their travelogues, what they write about their journey and what they see in India. Okay, by traveling, what they see. So these all are important sources of history. Writing of biographies of kings and dynastic histories marks an important step in the Indian historiography. Okay, so writing about the biographies of the king means king stories, okay, and their dynastic histories, like the history of their dynasty. So it is an important step in Indian historiography. Harshcharit, Harshacharit, written in the 7th century CE, was written by Banabhatta. This King Harsha's biography. Okay? King Harsha's biography is Harshcharit. It was written in 7th centuries and it was written by Banabhatta. Okay? So when we read that, we come to know the story of that king. It portrays a realistic picture of the social, economic, political, religious, and cultural life during the king's time. Okay, in the biography, there's a realistic picture of social, economic, political, what was religious life, cultural life at that king's time. Now we will see historiography in the medieval period. The style of writing Raj Tarangini, the history of Kashmir by Kalhana in the 12th century CE is quite close to the concept of modern historiography. Okay. So Raj Tarangini, that is the style of writing. It is close to modern historiography. That concept is close to modern historiography. This is the history of Kashmir. Kalhana himself says that he wrote this text after critically examining various sources like inscriptions, coins, remains of ancient monuments, dynastics, records, and local tradition. After seeing all these things, then Kalhana wrote, after critically examining these sources like inscriptions, coins, remains of ancient monuments, dynastic records, and local traditions. Okay. He wrote the history of Kashmir. In the medieval India, the historians in the courts of Muslim rulers were influenced by Arabic and Persian historiography. So in the Muslim courts, the rulers were influenced by Arabian and Persian historiography, these two languages, Arabic and Persian. Among them, Ziauddin Tarani holds an important place in Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi. Ziauddin Barani holds an important place. Among them, Ziauddin Barani holds an important place in Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi, a book written by him. He has stated the purpose of historiography. So what is the purpose of historiography? It is written in this book, Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi, written by Ziauddin Barani. According to him, the historian's duty is not limited only to the recording of the ruler's valor and policies of welfare, but he should also write about the ruler's failings and incorrect policies. So according to Ziauddin Barani, what is the historian's duty? It is not limited only to the recording of rulers' valor and policies, means rulers' um, victory or rulers' policies or things, whatever he frames policies for his kingdom, okay, or welfare. But he should also write about the rulers' failings also, okay, failings and what is the incorrect policies. Means all positive things also and negative, both things should be written according to Ziauddin Barani. Barani further says that a historian should also take into consideration the impact of teachings of the wise, the learned, and the saints on the cultural life of the people. He said that Barani said that historian also should consider the teachings of wise, means intelligent or the learned, okay, or the saints about that cultural life of the people. Thus, Barani expanded the scope of historiography. According to him, in history, uh, rulers, while writing history, rulers, positive things, negative things, both should be included, and consideration of teachings of the wise, learned, saints. Okay, this all should be considered. So he thus expanded the scope of historiography. For the historians in the Mughal courts, praising the emperors and exhibition of loyalty became more important. The custom of adding suitable poetic quotes and beautiful pictures was also introduced. Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire, wrote an autobiography entitled Fuzul-e Babari. The founder of the Mughal Empire, Babur, he wrote an autobiography. Autobiography means his own story. Okay, he wrote his own story, and the name of that autobiography was Fuzul-e Babari. It contains a description of the battles fought by him. Okay, so whichever battles he has fought is written about that in that book. Babur also recorded his minute observations of various regions, cities traveled by him when he used to travel. Whatever things he used to observe, he wrote in that book, including the local economy, customs, and flora. What is the economy of that region, of that place? What are the customs, culture, social life, and flora, like plants, animals, everything. Whatever he used to watch over there, he used to wrote it down in his book. Abu Abul Fazl Abul Fazl's Akbarnama is very important from the viewpoint of critical historiography. This method of collecting authentic historical documents and their scrutiny is looked upon as devoid of bias and hence realistic. This method of collecting authentic historical documents, okay, and scrutiny means critically examining it, verifying it, confirming it, okay, is looked as realistic. Bakar is an important type of historical document. Bakar is an important type of historical documents of medieval times. It contains eulogies of the heroes and stories of historic events, battle lives of great men. So Bakar is an historical document, important historical document which contains stories of heroes, their historic events, their battles which they won or which they fought, then lives of great men, their stories. Marathi Bhakars are various types. Now there are some names of Marathi Bhakar. Sabhasad Bhakar was written by Krishnaji Anant Sabhasad during the reign of Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj. It is an important Bhakar for getting information about the rule of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Means the rule of the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj story was written in this Bhakar, Sabhasad Bhakar. Bhau Sahib Sahebanchi Bhakar describes the Battle of Panipat. In the Bhakar, Bhau Sahebanchi Bhakar is written of Battle of Panipat. It describes about the Battle of Panipat. Another Bhakar entitled Panipatachi Bhakar is also about the same event. There are two Bhakars. One is Bhau Sahebanchi Bhakar, in that it is also Battle of Panipat, and another one is Panipatachi Bhakar, and that also same event is described. Battle of Panipat. Holkaranchi Kaifiyat provides information about Holkars and their contributions to the Maratha rules. Whatever contribution of Holkars was there, it is described in Holkaranchi Kaifiyat. The contributions to the Maratha rule. Bakars can be divided into various types such as biographies of kings, dynastic history, descriptions of events, history of sect, autobiography regarding grievance based on mythologies and state administration by a king. Historiography in the modern period. In the 20th century, the Indian archaeological exploration and research started under the British rule. So in the 20th century, when British arrived, so they have started archaeological exploration and research was done under the British rule. A number of ancient sites were excavated under the supervision of Sir Alexander Cunningham. He was the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. Okay, under his supervision, important ancient sites were excavated. He chose mainly the sites mentioned in the Buddhist texts for the purpose. When he read Buddhist texts, he come to know which place should be excavated. So he chose the sites which were mentioned in the Buddhist texts for this purpose. Harappan civilization was discovered during the tenure of Sir John Marshall. Because of this discovery, the antiquity of Indian history could be traced to 3rd millennium BCE or even earlier. Okay, when discovery was done, when Harappan site was excavated. So India would reach to its history 3,000 years ago. Many British officials in India wrote about Indian history. Their writings display strong influence of the colonial policies of the British. Okay. Britishers also wrote about some Indian history, but their writing were influencing the colonial policies of the British. 3 volumes of the history, 3 volumes of the history of British India. It was written by James Mill and it was published in 1817. This was the first book on Indian history written by a British historian. Okay, British historian wrote about the Indian history. So this was the first book. It clearly reflects an absence of objective perspective and prejudice about various aspects of the Indian culture. Means British historian who has written about Indian history, he missed out the Indian culture in that book. Okay, he has not mentioned it. The History of India, written by Mount Stuart Elphinstone, Governor of Bombay, now Mumbai, okay, was published in 1841. Okay, after the History of British India, written by James Mill in 1817, the History of India was written by Mount Stuart Elphinstone. He was the Governor of Bombay, and it was published in 1841. The period of Marathas Empire is very important in the Indian history. Grand Duff's name stands out among the British officers who wrote about Maratha history. Now, the Grand Duff, he has written the history about Maratha. He was a British officer who wrote history about Maratha. He wrote the book entitled A History of Marathas. Okay, his book's name was History of Marathas. This book is published in 3 volumes. Okay, first we have seen 3 volumes of History of British India written by James Mill. Then History of India written by Mount Stuart Elphinstone, Governor of Bombay. Then after that, History of India written by Grand Duff. And this book's name is Histories of Maratha, and it was published in 3 volumes. Grand Duff's writing also shows the British inclination of condemning Indian culture and history. Again, in this writing in his book, Indian culture was missing. Similar tendency is witnessed in Colonel Todd's writings about Rajasthan history. Okay, again, British Colonel Todd's. He wrote about Rajasthan histories. Again, culture was not included. The 2 volumes written by William Wilson Hunter on Indian history show a somewhat impartial treatment of the subject. Then Nilkant Janardhan Kirtane and Vishwanath Kashinath Rajwade were 2 Indian historians who took upon the task of exposing the limitation of Grant Duff's writing. Okay, so these 2 Indian historians, they took the part of whatever was written in Indian history by British historians. They exposed the limitations. They have written what was missing in that, like Indian culture and all. They took the task of exposing the limitations of Grant Duff's writings. Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. Now we will see about Indian historiography and different ideological frameworks. First, we will see colonial historiography. The early scholars who studied and wrote Indian history were mainly British officers and Christian missionaries. Okay. We have seen British officers, British historians, those who have written Indian history. Okay. So they were mainly British officers and Christian missionaries. Their prejudice is clearly reflected in the way some of them have ridiculed in Indian culture. I mean, they have not mentioned Indian culture. They have missed that part. Their writings were used to justify the colonial British rule, and that they have only highlighted British rule, colonial. The 5 volumes of Cambridge History of India published during 1922 CE are distinct examples of colonial historiography. Orientalist historiography. Many European scholars felt curious about civilizations and countries of the East. Okay, so the European scholars now they were curious to know about the civilizations of the countries of the East. Some of those scholars, excuse me, some of those scholars felt admiration and respect for them. These scholars were known as Orientalists. Okay. So, who are the Orientalists? The scholars who felt curious about civilization and countries of the East. Some of those scholars felt admiration and respect for them. These scholars were known as Orientalists. The Orientalists studied the similarities between Sanskrit and some of the European languages. Okay, so European Orientalist studies the similarity between Sanskrit language, what is similar between Sanskrit language and European language, what is same about that language. They focused more on Vedic tradition and Sanskrit language. Their studies resulted in formulating the notion of an ancient language that could be the mother of all Indo-European languages. In 1784, Sir William Jones founded Asiatic Society in Kolkata. It opened the doors for research in ancient Indian literature and history. The Orientalists studied the similarities between Sanskrit and some of the European languages. They focused more on Vedic tradition and Sanskrit literature. Now, among the Orientalist scholars, Frederick Max Mueller deserve a special mention. So, among the Orientalist scholars, Frederick Max Mueller, he deserves a special mention. In his opinion, Sanskrit was the most ancient language. Okay. What was the opinion of Max Mueller? His opinion was that Sanskrit was the most ancient language of the Indo-European languages. He was deeply interested in Sanskrit literature. So Max Mueller was interested in Sanskrit literature. He first translated the Sanskrit text of Hitopadesh in German language. So the Sanskrit, he first translated the Sanskrit text. The Sanskrit text was translated into German language, okay, by him, and it was named as Hitopadesh. Text of Hitopadesh, Sanskrit text of Hitopadesh. He was the editor of 50 volumes of the sacred books of the East. He also compiled Rig Veda, which has been published in 6 volumes. He translated Rig Veda in German. He translated Rig Veda, which was written in Sanskrit in German language. Lately, Edwards said, a scholar who has reevaluated the Orientalist writings has thrown light on imperialistic interests of Orientalist scholars. Now, nationalist historiography. The writings of Indian historians who were trained in British educational system shown an inclination to restore the pride in the ancient glory of Indian and the self-esteem of the Indian readers. Okay. So the writing of Indian historians who were trained in British educational systems shows an inclination. Now, though the Indian historians, they wanted to show the glory of the ancient India, their self-esteem to the Indian readers. Their writings are known as nationalistic historiography. Nationalistic writings in Maharashtra were inspired by Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar. He criticized the prejudiced history of ancient India written by British officers. We have seen up till now that British officers, those who have written history of India, they lacked out the Indian culture in the writings. So the nationalistic historiographians, they wanted to show the ancient glory of India, the self-esteem to the Indian readers. So nationalistic writings in Maharashtra were inspired by Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar. He criticized the prejudiced history of ancient India written by British officers. He was against, okay, the British officers written work. The nationalistic historians tried to seek the golden era of Indian history. Okay, nationalistic historians wanted to show the golden era of the Indian history to the readers. They are at times blamed for ignoring the critical analysis of the historical truth. Mahadev Govind Mahadev Govind Ranade, Ramkrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, Rajendra Lal Mishra. Okay, these are the names, all names of Indian scholars, Indian nationalistic historians. Lal Mishra, Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, Kashi Prasad Jaiswal, Radha Kumud Mukherjee, Bhagwan Lal Indraji, Vasudev Vishnu Mirashi, and Anand Sasha Kadashiv Haltekar are the names of some renowned scholars among the nationalistic historians. Rajwade is well known for his writings in Marathi on varied subjects like history, linguistics, etymography, etymology, grammar, etc. He was of the firm opinion that we should write our own history. Okay, Rajwade, he opinion that we should write our own history. He compiled the edited 22 volumes of Marathanchal Itihasachi Sadhane. He wrote very scholarly prefaces to each of the 22 volumes. He stated, history is the all-inclusive image of the past societies. It does not include only the stories of political images, conspiracies, and wars for seizing power. He insisted that history should be written only using the authentic documentary source. The national so Rajwade insisted that history should be written only using the authentic documentary source, means whichever documents are there, it should be authentic. Okay, so history should be written by only using the authentic documentary source or information collected. Okay, the nationalistic historiography helped in the triggering of the independence movement of the Indian people against the British. Okay, so before we have seen that British historians, they have written Indian history, but they left out about the Indian culture. Then national historians, they have started writing about the nation's history, about the Indians' history, about the golden era, whatever. They've highlighted all the Indian culture. Okay, so while writing this historiography, nationalistic historiography, it helped in the triggering of the independence movement. Because of that, independence movement began. It triggered of the Indian people against British rule. Okay. Now, Indian people felt the need that India should take independence from the British rule. Okay. The nationalistic historiography helped in the triggering of the independence movement of the Indian people against the British rule. In this aspect, the book, The Indian War of Independence, 1857, written by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, is of great importance. Okay, the book, The Indian War of Independence, 1857, it was written by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, and it is very important. The nationalistic historiography provided a momentum to the writing of regional histories too. Okay, so the nationalistic historiography, it gave direction to write regional histories also, history of a region. As a result, the attention of historians was drawn to the geographic conditions and history of South Indian regions. Okay, so while writing history about nation, they came to they started writing, the attention came towards the writing geographic conditions also of South Indian regions. So historiography in the post-independence era, scholars of the era uh, feel the need of writing histories of various communities, science, economic systems, political ideologies, cultural aspects, etc., influenced by three ideological schools. There is Marxist history, subaltern history, and feminist history. Now, Marxist history, the concern for the means of production, land, natural resources, technology, modes of production, and industrial relations were at the center in the writings of Marxist historians. Okay, so Marxist historian, when they were writing the history, so they wrote about land, natural resources, technology, etc. Scholars like Damodar Dharmanand Kosam, Comrade Shripad Amrut Dange, Ram Sharan Sharma, Comrade Sharad Patil have contributed notably in Marxist history. Comrade Dange was one of the founder members of the Indian Communist Party. Primitive Communism to Slavery, the book written by him represents Marxist historiography. Subaltern history, the role of the Italian historian Antonio Gramsci is very important in developing the idea that history should be written starting from the bottommost ranks of the people in society. Now, in subaltern history, the role of his Italian historian Antonio Gramsci, he stated that history should be written from the bottommost ranks of people, bottom society, right? From the bottom rank of the society. In fact, subaltern means the bottommost rank. The meaning of subaltern itself means bottommost ranks. Folklore has been considered as a very important source of writing subaltern history. Okay, by folklore was the important source of writing subaltern histories. Ranjit Guha, an Indian historian, played a major role in establishing history. The role of people belonging to Dalit caste is very significant in the shaping of various cultural and political aspects of India. Okay. Their role gave the shape to the various cultural and political aspects of India. However, their role was not duly acknowledged in the colonial and nationalistic historiography. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, focusing on this fact, consistency wrote about it. Okay, whatever was missed out, so Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, he focused on that fact about consistency, writing about this. Feminist history. Tarabai Shinde wrote Attacking the Male-Dominant Society and the Caste System. Her book, Stree Purush Tulna, published in 1882, is acknowledged as the first feminist book in India. Okay? Written by Tarabai Shinde, her book's name was Stree Purush Tulna. Tulna means comparison of male and female. Stree Purush Tulna, published in 1882, is acknowledged as the first feminist book in India. In 1888, the book written by Pandita Ramabai was published and titled The High Caste Hindu Women. The name of the book was High Caste Hindu Women, written by Pandit Ramabai. It stated the issues like employment of the women, treatment to them at their workplace, how they were treated at their workplace, okay, the right to political equality, etc. Feminist history. Recently published feminist literature, Meera Kasambi's book Crossing Thresholds, Feminist Essays in Social History is of great importance. It contains essays and stories of the life of women like Pandita Ramabai and Dr. Rukma Bai, the first practicing lady doctor of India. Okay? She was the first lady doctor, first practicing lady doctor. Name was Pandita Ramabai. So in that book, it contains the stories and essays of the life of the women like Pandita Ramabai and Dr. Rukmabai. Dr. Rukmabai, the first practicing lady doctor of India. Dr. Sharmila Rege's work is noteworthy in this context. Her book, Writing Caste, Writing Gender, Reading Dalit Women's Testimonies, includes her essays on the autobiographies of Dalit women. Okay. So we are done with this lesson number 2. Just have a look. Important points you will see. In this lesson, we have seen what is historiography. Historiography is ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. We have seen the tradition of Indian historiography, like memories of the great deeds of ancestors and mythological lore with the help of oral recitals. Then inscriptions of the Harappan seals and other artifacts confirm that Indian had mastered the art of writing as early as the 3rd millennium BCE. Ancient Indian literature included epic Ramayana and Mahabharata, Jain, Buddhist texts, historical accounts of Indian authors, also travelogues by foreign travelogues are important sources of history. Writing biographies of kings and dynastic histories mark an important step in the Indian historiography. Harshcharita, written in the 7th century CE by Banabhatta, is the King Harsha's biography. It portrays a realistic picture of the social, economic, political, religious, and cultural life during the king's time. Then we have seen the style of writing Raj Tarangini, the history of Kashmir, written by Kalhana in the 12th century CE, is quite close to the concept of modern historiography. Kalhana himself says that he wrote this text after critically examining the various sources like inscriptions, coins, remains of ancient monuments, dynastic records, and local traditions. Then Muslim rulers were influenced by Arabic and Persian historiography. Ziauddin Barani was an important place in Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi, a book written by him. He stated the purpose of historiography. According to him, the historian's duty is not limited only to the recording of the ruler's valor and pieces of welfare, but he should also write about the ruler's failings and incorrect policies. Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire, wrote an autobiography entitled Babri. It contains a description of the battles fought by him. Babur also recorded his minute observations of various regions and cities traveled by him, including the local economy, customs, and the flora. Then Akbarnama. Abu Fazl ibn Mubarak, also known as Abu Fazl, was the grand vizier of the Mughal Emperor Akbar, and author of the Akbarnama, the official history of Akbar's reign in 3 volumes. A third volume is known as Ain Akbari and the Question. This method of collecting authentic historical documents under scrutiny is looked upon as the devoid of bias and hence realistic. Then we have seen Marxist history, subaltern history, feminist history. We'll see the fill in the blanks also. Dash was the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. Alexander Cunningham. Dash translated a Sanskrit text of Updesh. Frederick Max Mueller. Okay. Hello, ma'am.